So you're going to settle down onto your back and just, yeah, I think just maybe taking or having a few big sighing breaths and just arriving, letting yourself, yeah, arrive on your back. And you can start off with your legs long or your knees bent, just whichever is more comfortable for you. And that feeling of arriving on the ground, arriving in your body, having a couple of big sighing breaths. And just, yeah, we'll start some little movement. So we can start that sort of rolling our head from side to side, just easing the head to the right and to the left. So noticing how your neck feels and noticing how your shoulders feel, let your shoulders rest onto the ground. Just let as much as possible, letting ourselves start to soften and relax and let go of some of the tension and the busyness of the day. And then if your legs are long, I'd like you to bend your knees and stand your feet on the floor. And take a moment to feel the contact of your footprints on the floor, the contact of the back of your pelvis on the floor. And then start to let your knees tilt to the right and to the left. That's very nice. And just keep it easy, keep it comfortable. Don't feel that you need to push yourself in any way. Just, I think, as I usually say, this little bit of lying down at the beginning is very much about sort of easing out some of the tensions of the day or even the week. And some of you, Maria, I know have had a very, very full-on week. So just being gentle with yourselves. And then from here, settle in the center. And keep your right knee bent and your right foot standing on the floor and lengthen your left leg out on the ground. So we're going to leave that left leg heavy on the ground. And we're going to start to do that movement where we press into the right foot and we let the right side of the pelvis come away from the floor and the pelvis tilt towards the left a little bit. That's it. So we might roll a bit towards the outer edge of the left leg, but we want the left side of the pelvis and the left leg to stay on the floor. So repeat this movement a few times. As you press into your right foot and the right side of the pelvis comes off the ground, try and send your right knee forwards over your footprint, rather than letting your knee sort of travel over to the left. That's good. Lovely. So repeat this a few more times. What actually is really nice if we do this movement is to coordinate the pressing with our exhalation. And if your mind's a bit busy, it can be really helpful to sort of focus in on the breathing and combine the movement and the breathing. Coordinate the movement and breathing. That's very nice. Good. So maybe just do one more like this. And then keep your legs as they are and just settle your pelvis on the ground for a moment as you cross your arms over your chest. So cross your arms over your chest, have your right arm on top. Sorry, so if you've got your left arm on top, just swap them over. And then what you're going to do now is as you press into your right foot and your right side of your pelvis lifts, you're also going to roll across your upper back. So you roll towards the back of your left shoulder. And you could reach your right fingertips on the floor away from your body, so out to the left. You can sort of reach your arm out on the floor, your fingertips. That's it. So we're really rolling now our weight towards the left side of our body. Good. And let the head roll as well. Good. So this movement, really nice. I find it's a bit like we're giving ourselves a bit of a massage. We're easing out some of that tightness across the whole of the back of the body. So think about the back of your upper back, the back of your body being sort of soft and malleable. And do this a couple more times. So rolling our weight over towards the left, our right fingertips can reach out on the floor over to the left side. That's nice. And then next time your pelvis comes back on the floor, uncross your arms, lengthen your leg out. Just let yourself, that's it, just let yourself lie long for a moment. If you feel that you want to wobble your legs or bounce your knees, you can do. Just a breath or two lying long. And then we're going to do those same movements on the other side. So you're going to bend your left knee and stand your left foot to the floor. And first of all, let the arms just rest beside you. Come to that pressing movement into the left foot. That's nice. Letting the left side of the pelvis lift away from the floor. Letting your weight roll towards the right side of the pelvis. You roll towards the outer edge of the right leg. Very nice. Good. You send your left knee forwards over your footprint. Lovely. Might be you coordinate the pressing movement with your exhalation. Good. Wonderful. So you can do this once or twice more, just the pressing into the foot. And then you can add the arms in. So you'll cross your arms over your chest with your left arm on top. So now this becomes more of a whole body movement. I think all of us is involved in this movement as we roll across our upper back, as we reach our left fingertips out on the floor onto our right side, sort of reach away from our body. So we let our head roll to the right. Very nice. Keep remembering that you're sending your left knee forwards rather than the left knee going over to the right. And again, you can still keep that focus on moving as you exhale. Good. So maybe couple more times, 2, 3 more times, whatever you feel. Really lovely. And again, it might be nice once you let this go, uncrossing your arms, lengthening both legs out for a moment. And give your legs a little roll, a little bounce. Once you've done that, we're going to fold both knees in towards the chest and hold around the top of your knees. So you can hug your knees in towards you. You could rock a little bit side to side if you like, or you could just hold around your knees and have a couple of breaths. You could also from here take your legs up to the ceiling and give them a bit of a shake out. Excellent, very nice. Yes, arms as well is good if you like. And then from here, when you've had enough of arms and legs up, you're going to bring your legs back onto the floor long again. And then from here, you're going to roll over onto your belly. And just settle yourself however. So I don't really mind what you do with your arms. We're actually going to do some things with our feet on our belly. So it's quite good. Yeah, some of you, I can actually see your feet. I don't have to see your feet. But roll onto your belly. Give yourself your pelvis a little bit of a wiggle as you arrive on your belly, just to help you settle. Always a good pelvis wiggling. And then what you're going to do is just choose one leg to work with. And what I want you to do is just by bending your knees, just lift your foot a little bit so that you can, so just one leg only. You're lifting your foot a little bit and then you're dropping it back onto the floor. So you're just putting your foot, but yeah, don't lift, if you lift your foot really high, you're not going to want to let it drop. So you don't want to lift the foot too high. If I suddenly went quiet, it's because I moved away. So you're lifting your foot a little bit, and you're letting your foot, almost like you're tapping the floor with one foot. And then what you're going to do with the same leg and foot is tuck your toes under and then untuck them. So tuck your toes under and then untuck them. And I think you can do this in socks. Tuck your toes under and then release. And do that a couple more times. So it's really good for the toes. Good. And then come on to the second foot. And again, the sort of tapping the foot on the floor. So bending the knee, just lifting the foot a little. Doesn't have to be high. Because what you want to do is sort of be able to let the foot fall on the ground without worrying about hurting yourself. So if you're sort of lifting your foot high and then you're being a bit sort of tentative about letting it drop, just don't go so high. Okay. And then a few times tucking the toes under, releasing them, just in that second leg. Tuck the toes under, release them. Tuck the toes under, release them. Good. And then just let the legs go. Let the legs go. Let them feel heavy. Give your pelvis another wiggle. Very nice. Let a breath come in. Let a breath leave you. One more cycle of breath. And then from here, from lying on your belly, you're going to be folding into child pose. So fold your pelvis back over your heels. And again, when you come into child pose, what's pelvis wiggling going on today? When you come into child pose, you could give your pelvis a bit of a wiggle in child pose. See how that feels for you. If it doesn't feel good, you don't have to do it. So I think some people love wiggling their pelvises in child pose, I observe, but it's not necessarily for everyone. So a bit of a wiggle up the pelvis from side to side. Good. And then maybe let a breath come in, let a breath leave you. And then we are coming on to hands and knees. And I'm afraid at this point, you will need to take your socks. Yeah, I think maybe take your socks off if you can bear it. Okay? Because we were carrying on doing some things for the toes. So once you've taken your socks off, you're going to lengthen each leg out behind you and tuck your toes under. And do that on both sides. Good. And then once you've done that, you're going to tuck both lots of toes under. You're going to walk your hands in towards your knees and pick your knees up off the floor. So you come up onto the balls of your feet. And at this point, you could maybe spread your toes out a little bit. So I've sort of doing a few of these foot stretches at the moment. You'll be thrilled to hear. So a little bit of rocking. We can be on our fingertips or the flats of our hands or our knuckles. A little bit of rocking forwards and back. And then what we'll do is we'll let the knees come all the way down to the ground and sit back over the heels. Let the shoulders drop. Good. For a breath or two. So this really will take you back to Thursday evenings at Unit 4, Lynn. So sitting, doing our foot stretches. And before it all gets too much, come forwards onto hands and knees, untuck your toes, drum your feet on the floor. And then lengthen each leg out behind you. Again, so just like we did before, lengthen one leg, lengthen the other. Now, I'm afraid we're going to revisit the foot stretch, but before we do it, we're actually going to come into plank pose. So once you've lengthened each leg out behind you, come back, lengthen one leg out, and then keep it there and add the second leg in. So you're coming into your plank pose. So you're feeling your shoulders are over your wrists. We're giving our abdominals a bit of a workout by stopping the pelvis sagging down to the ground. Good. Maybe just not the easiest place to breathe, but see if we can be there for another moment or two. And then let your knees come down to the ground and walk your hands into your knees again. So we'll come back up here onto the balls of the feet. We'll spread the toes out if we want to. We'll do a little bit of rocking here. I'm pleased to see jumpers being taken off. That's a sign that people have got their heating on because it's really cold tonight. So a little bit of rocking on the balls of the feet. Good. And then again, we'll come into that kneeling foot stretch. So where we let our knees come down, we sit back over our heels with our toes tucked under. Very nice. Then we let the shoulders soften and relax, and we smile or grimace. And then we will come forwards again. And yeah, give the feet a little bit of a drum on the floor. The drum the feet and also lengthen each leg back behind you in turn. Once you've lengthened each leg out behind you, and you can even do it, you can even take that back leg forwards. We're going to bring one foot forwards into lunge. So we bring our foot forwards in between our hands, as you well know, and we walk the back leg away. And then we'll have a few breaths here. Now, when we swap sides from lunge, if you like, you could go into dog pose to, we're not ready to swap sides yet. You might be, but when we've had a few more breaths, or you can swap sides of lunge on hands and knees. So it's really up to you. Only another breath or two. So we're just thinking about this sort of opening here down through the front of the thigh, the front of the pelvis. If you want to come into dog pose, you can plant your hands down. As you exhale, you're going to step that front foot back into dog pose. Have a few breaths and just see how your dog pose feels. You might like to bend one knee, bend the other knee. Big exhalations. Very nice. And then it's really up to you. You can have a few more breaths in dog, but when you come into the other side of lunge, you could go directly from dog pose, or you could come down onto hands and knees. So you could exhale, you could step your other foot forwards into lunge, or you could come onto hands and knees and bring your foot forwards. And have a few breaths here. Again, giving the weight of the pelvis down to the ground. Breathing, settling, feeling that opening through the front of the back leg thigh. So lunge gives us lots to feel. So if our mind's a bit busy, we can really notice our body in this. So from lunge, we're going to come into dog pose. If you want to go onto hands and knees first, that's fine. And then from dog, we're going to make our way into standing through a forward bend. So dog, forward bend, standing in your own time. So exhaling, it would be nice to have a few breaths in dog pose. Just see how the second dog pose feels, bending your knees. You could do a little bit of that one where we roll onto the tips of the toes and then the top of the toes, 1 foot at a time, because it would be quite a nice contrast to the foot stretches we did. So rolling onto the ball of one foot and then the ball of the other. No, not the ball of the foot, the tips of the toes and then the tops of the toes. So I suppose you roll onto the ball of your foot and then onto the tips of your toes and then the tops of your toes. From dog pose, we can then walk our hands in towards our feet and see how it feels when we end up in a forward bend. So remember, there's always that option of bending the knees, resting the elbows on the thighs. Let your head go. If it's comfortable, you can let your arms go. Let a breath come in, and as you exhale, roll up into standing. Lovely. So we've arrived up in standing, and what are we going to do? So we're carrying on our focus on our feet. So in standing, actually maybe first of all just bend your knees and give your pelvis a bit of a wiggle, which is just nice for lower backs. And then Let your knees straighten but not lock. And we're going to do the one where we rock our weight forwards onto the balls of our feet. And then we come back down again. So a few times up and down, coming into this little balance. So really good workout for the feet, and it's also starting to give us an idea of how our balance is this evening. And then let's see, the next time you come up, if you feel steady, you can take your arms up and you can stay up for a few breaths. So you can come up onto the balls of your feet and then let your arms float up. Let your shoulders drop down away from your ears. Good. So keep your shoulders relaxed, keep your center of your palms soft. And just see if you can feel the movement of the breath through your body. Feeling the breath come in, feeling the breath leaving you. And then when we come back down, you can let your heels come down and then let your arms sweep all the way down and around into another forward bend. And of course, take your knees, your elbows onto your thighs if your lower back needs support. Or if your back's fine, then you release all the way down to the ground. Lovely. That's it. Yes, if you want to move a little bit there, sweep your body from side to side, you can do. What other things in the forward bend? What I'm quite keen on in my forward bend at the moment, yes, squats are a very nice idea, Maria. What I'm quite keen on is bending my knees so my chest comes close to my thighs and wrapping my arms around the back of my legs. But it's really good when we're doing these things, yes, to be led by your own body. So if you do roll up when you're ready. So it's so nice to see when you have an impulse to do something and you do it. It's really important. So well done. So come back up into standing. Settle yourself down with your feet a little distance apart. Let a breath come in as you exhale, bring your arms up. And then come to these ones where we reach up into one arm and then the other, and we shift our weight. Very nice to see you, Ruth. That's it. So shift your weight into the reaching side. Yeah, so shift your weight into the reaching side. And then we're going to reach and catch. So I'm going to reach up with my right arm and then catch my left. I'm just going to kneel so you can see. Catch my left hand around my right wrist and draw myself up and over. And we'll do that on both sides. But when you do this, it's try to look forwards rather than up. Otherwise, you start to sort of go into a bit of a back bend as well as a side bend. So then reach up with your left arm, catch your right hand around the left wrist, draw yourself up and over to the right. Good. And then as we come down from this, again, you're going to sweep all the way down into a forward bend. And when you arrive in the forward bend, just again see, what would your body like? Do you want to go on into a squat? You could do. Do you want to bend your knees more? You can try that one, wrapping your arms around the back of your legs. Nicola, I think you were doing a little bit of sort of sweeping your arms from side to side. So, yeah, there might be something else that you feel you want to do in your forward bend. Hello, Casper. Casper's come to show us some cat movements. Yes, and then of course, very nice, beautiful forward bends, coming back up when you're ready. And sorry, just can't find my water, I get distracted by the animals. So we're going to use our side bending movement. So Ruth, this is your balance. We're going to use our side bending movement to take us into a balance. So why don't you do the same as me? Start reaching up with your right arm. So we're going to be shifting our weight into our right leg as we reach up with the right arm. And then we're going to be catching the top of our left foot. You could catch your trouser leg if that's better for you. Okay, we're letting the knee drop to the floor. And then we're bringing our hand down onto our breastbone. And just see how it feels to settle here. So we're in sort of a fairly sort of quiet, I'd say settled balance. It may not feel that settled. And yeah, just a few more breaths here. Letting the knee drop down to the floor. Feeling your heel growing roots down into the ground. Letting your shoulders soften, letting your jaw relax. Good. Feel a breath come in, feel a breath leave you. Yes, and do come down whenever you want to. So come down, have a little shake out. So we're doing this sort of quite simple version, reasonably simple version of this balance, and then we're going to develop it a little bit in a moment. So we'll do the other side first, the simple version. So reaching your left arm up now, shifting your weight into your left leg and foot. Then you just sneak your right leg and foot, your right foot rather, off the ground. Catch the top of your right foot or your right ankle or your trouser leg. And then the left hand comes onto your breastbone. Hand on your breastbone, let your knee drop to the floor. Just see if you can settle and soften and breathe. Good. The knee drops, the shoulders soften. We feel the breath come in. We feel the breath leave us. Good. Maybe one or two more cycles of breath, depending how you're doing. Good. Come down, have a little bit of a shake out. Yes, so we're going to come to another version of that balance, but as part of a little sequence. Of course, the cat comes up washing his bottom, doesn't it? Doesn't he? So if you face the length of your mat, so you've got a bit of room because you're going to be stepping your right foot forwards, yeah? And so when you step your right foot forwards, you want to have this your sideways distance as well. So we've stepped our right foot forwards. We'll do a little bit of rocking forwards and back just to help us drop down into our feet and feel ourselves in this position. And then we'll let both feet settle down. And we're going to bend the front knee. So you're going to keep your back leg straight. And what we're going to do first of all is come into a forward bend here. So the front knee's bent. We can rest our forearm on that front leg. Or we can go lower and rest our chest on that front leg and take our arms down to the ground. So it's entirely up to you what you choose to do. Wherever you are, you can let your head go. So if you're resting on your front leg, you can still let your head hang. Keep your heels, particularly your back heel, rooted into the ground. And then as you exhale from here, you're going to sink into both feet and come back up into standing. Good. And then from here, what we're going to do is we're going to touch. So in our right hand, you're going to touch your thumb to one of your fingers. It doesn't have to be the index finger, but it could be. You could touch the pad of the finger or the nail of the finger. Okay? And then bring that hand onto your breastbone. And then from here, we're going to start to shift our weight into our front foot. So let the knee straighten but not lock. And we're going to catch our back foot again, like we just did. And then this time in the balance, once you've caught your back foot, you're going to reach backwards away from your bottom with your heel, and then forwards with your hand and your arm. And you can turn your palm upwards. And you maybe see your hand in your peripheral vision out of the corner of your eye. And so it's a little bit like we're offering a gift with this mudra, the contact of the thumb and the finger. And just see if you can have a couple more breaths here. Letting the breath come in, letting the breath leave you. Lovely. Looks, yeah, fantastic, everyone. Come down. Do you have a little shake out? So I don't know whether it's better because you know quite, you're side two, you know where you're going, which may make it easier or may, I don't know. So let's see. So start off facing the long edge of your mat, feet a little distant, facing down the length of your mat, feet a little distance apart. And then step your left foot forward. So we've got this sort of walking pace, not too tiny, not too big. shifting our weight forwards and back. So we really let our awareness drop down all the way through the length of our legs to our feet. And then we can settle down, letting the front knee bend. The back leg is staying straight. The back heel is really rooting into the ground as we start to fold forwards over this front leg. So keep your back leg straight, your front knees bent. You can fold further forward so that your chest comes close to your thigh. You can let your head go. You can let your arms come down to the ground if you like. You don't have to go that low. And have a couple of breaths there. Make sure you're not taking too much weight in your hands. Your weight is really supposed to stay in your feet. Let a breath come in with your next exhalation. Sink into your feet. Come back up into standing. And then again, you're going to take your left hand and you're going to bring your hand into the mudra. You don't have to touch the same finger. So the thumb touches onto one of the fingers. Each finger is a different mudra. You can touch the nail or the pad of the finger. And then bring your hand onto your breastbone. And like we did on the other side, we're shifting our weight forwards into our front leg, letting that knee straighten but not lock, and we're catching the back foot. And then from this point where we're sort of in the center, the balance we were in earlier, then we start to reach back with our foot and forwards with our hand. You can turn the palm up. You can imagine our hand is the mudra that is like this gift we're offering to someone or something. You might be to see your hand out of the corner of your eye. Have a breath or two. Very nice, beautiful. Really lovely. Well done. Come down, have a bit of a shake out. Yes, a little bit of a shake out. And I was going to say, once you've shaken out your arms and legs, then settle your feet down, bend your knees, give your pelvis a wiggle. So, wiggle. Good. And then we're going to do one more balance, but quite a quiet balance. And I'm just going to come nearer so I can show you. We're going to start off with our hands in prayer pose, but then from prayer pose, we're going to open the 3 middle fingers and the center of the palms to make the lotus flower mudra. We can rest our thumbs on our breastbone. Now, sometimes we do this and we stretch our hands as a hand exercise. We're not doing that in the balance. You've just got this, you're just making this beautiful lotus flower. We're thinking about this sort of image of a flower at our heart, which, yeah, it's very beautiful. So I would say don't stretch your hands overly. Think more about the, beauty of petals. So start off with your hands at your heart in prayer pose. And then what we're going to do from here, we're going to come into a little mini balance. And I'm just trying to think whether we'll come into the lotus flower first. Let's come to the lotus flower first, and then the balance is going to be very simple. You're just going to bring your foot to stand on your foot, yeah? But we'll do the flower first, and then we'll see how it feels to stand on one foot. We'll stand on the right foot first. So let the 3 middle fingers come apart. You can keep your thumbs on your breastbone. The little fingers and the thumbs stay touching in this beautiful lotus flower mudra. And then we can shift our weight onto our right foot and see how it is to bring our left foot to stand on the right foot. And if you feel a bit wobbly, it's fine. You could have some toes on the ground. That's absolutely fine. Just see how it is to be in this quite simple balance, but we've got this image in our hands of a lotus flower blossoming at our heart. See if you can have another breath or two. Good. release everything, have a little shake out, and we'll try the same on the other side. Let's just for a moment this time, before we come into the balance, of just maybe settling and closing our eyes. And we could close our eyes, feel the contact of the palms together in prayer pose, or Anjali Mudra, as it's known. And then with your eyes closed, you could let your 3 middle fingers move away from their partner and open your hands into the lotus flower. And just imagine a flower blooming at your heart. And then open your eyes and start to shift your weight onto your left foot. So you come onto the ball of your right foot, and then you're just bringing your left foot to stand on your right foot. And see if you can have a few breaths here. Letting your shoulders soften. And keep that awareness with the flower blossoming at your heart. Very nice, really, yeah, lovely. Very well done on that side. So come down. Have a little shake out. Let's just let everything go with a bit of a swinging twist before we come out of standing. Now, we're going to come down in a moment through a forward bend and dog pose, and I think child pose. But we're going to be doing, you might need some cushions, is what I was going to say, for what we're going to do after that. So if you need to grab any cushions, you might as well do that while you're standing up, rather than have to get out of child pose. So we're going to be doing Virasana, the one where you sit down in between your heels. So I know that's not always everyone's favourite. So if you think you're going to need cushions. So come to the back of your mat. We'll move down as we would for sun salute. So we'll bring our hands into prayer pose. We'll do a lovely sort of taking our arms down and up and then down into a forward bend. So yes, get your cushions ready and then come to the back of your mat and bring your hands into prayer pose. Letting a breath come in as you exhale, take your arms down and then up. Drop your shoulders away from your ears, receive an inhalation and then round down into a forward bend. Do rest your elbows on your thighs if it's better for your back. Otherwise, release forwards in the forward bend. Have a breath or two there before you move on into dog pose. And then from your forward bend, when you're ready, walking your hands forwards into dog pose. Maybe just a couple of breaths in dog, because we're going to be doing a bit more dog alternating with Virasana. So from dog pose, let yourself fold down into child pose. Or you could always be kneeling or even lying on your belly if child pose is not so good for you right now. But just come to a moment of quiet in child pose. That looks very nice, Maria, very nice soft shoulders. Yes, Nicola, good move. But just let the breath flow in, let the breath flow out. Feel the weight of your body on the ground. Feel the movement of your breath somewhere within your body. One more cycle of breath in child pose. And then when you're ready, come forwards onto hands and knees and give your legs a little bit of a lengthen out. So the next little thing we're going to do, I'm just going to grab my cushion, is we're going to move between Virasana and dog pose 3 times, and you can really do this in your own time. So we're going to be doing this one, Virasana, where we sit down in between our heels, and if our bottom doesn't reach the floor, we need to have some cushions. some padding, yeah? The other thing you might experience in this is it's a big stretch for the top of the front of the ankles. And if that's the case, you might need to put a blanket, yeah, under the tops of your feet. Some of you I know are quite happy in this, Maria. Yeah, some of you are quite happy, in which case you can try doing a little bit of this going backwards where we're scooping. Yeah, we're sort of tucking our tailbone under. So I think we did this last week. I'm afraid we got it this week again. I thought you might find it a bit easier. As you go back, you want to let your tailbone tuck under a bit. I think it's really good not to stay here too long. I mean, if you want to stay a bit longer, do it on the third one. So maybe now come out, have a bit of a lengthen out and dog pose. So these two movements, dog pose and Virasana, they stretch out our legs in different ways. So dog pose, we stretch out the back of our legs. Yeah, the back of the heels, heels, ankles, the whole of the back of the legs. When we come back down, and I'm afraid we have to, when we come back into Virasana, we're stretching out the whole of the front of our legs, yeah? The whole of the front of the foot, the ankle, all the way up the front of the legs. Do make sure you're not feeling any pain in your knees. If you are feeling it, you need to put something under you. Something else to avoid is your knees wandering. So I'll turn around this way. So if you're going back a bit and your knees are traveling out, then you've gone a bit further back than is helpful. Okay, so it's all about, here as we go back, we're trying to stretch through the quads. So Maria and Ruth, very good with your cycling. And then we'll come and do another dog pose. And then we'll do one more Virasana. I'll say that in a moment, actually. So yeah, see how it feels to lengthen out in dog pose. And, so if dog pose was feeling hard earlier, it's probably feeling much more pleasant in contrast with Virasana. Now, when you come to do your third Virasana, if you've got, it is quite nice to lean back towards something. So if you've got a sofa or a bed, so I've just moved so I could lean back onto my sofa. If you've got something that you could lean back on, that is an option, especially if you wanted to have a few breaths in Virasana. You might not want to, but yeah, because I know, Jan, you often talk about how, you know, and I really find the same thing, that what happens in here, we're sort of hanging around and the shoulders and the neck can get a bit tense. Obviously, some of you might find it's very easy to sort of go down onto your elbows or even lie down, not me. Because remember, we're still trying to keep this feeling of the front ribs and the belly falling back. We're not trying to arch our back. Okay, yes, you don't have to stay long the third time. If you want to, you can. Otherwise, just do come and have another dog pose. Do another dog pose. And enjoy. No more Virasana, at least for this week. Very nice. Yes, beautiful dog poses. Really lovely. Good. And when you come down from dog pose, we're going to come and sit in cobbler pose, which is, it's very much, we're moving our hips in the opposite direction to Virasana. And I'm facing the long edge of my mat. You don't have to, but we're also going to move into pinwheel. So you can lean back on your hands if you like. So it's really good if you do a lot of Virasana to also then do some cobbler pose to do the sort of the full range of movement for the hips. You can walk our hands in a little bit. We can see, can we hold our ankles or our big toes? Most of you are pretty happy in your cobbler pose, aren't you? And we might stay a little bit longer in cobbler pose in a moment, but what I'd like you to do from here is let one knee come on top of one knee and then slide your top leg back. You can do a little bit of circling here in your pinwheel. Okay. We can also do our pinwheel forward bend, and then we've got one more thing we're going to do in this position, which is slightly different. We haven't done for quite a while. I'll leave you guessing at what that might be. So if you'd like to have a little bit of time, a couple of breaths in your pinwheel forward bend, you can turn towards the knee that's going out to the side, and you can fold down over that leg. And just let the weight of your body rest down over, when I say over your thigh, I mean on top of your thigh. So it's like the weight of your body is helping your thigh to settle down onto the ground, the whole of your leg, I suppose. That's it. So it's a bit like there's a sandwich. Your leg is in the middle of the sandwich between the floor and your chest. And have maybe another, you can sometimes, big sighing breath is helpful here. And then you can come up, you can walk your hands in towards you. And then we're going to lean on the hand. So this knee that's going out to the side, we're going to lean on that hand. And we're going to start moving our back leg. And we're going to start to draw a bit of a circle with our back leg. So we're thinking about bringing the back leg towards and possibly beyond the front knee. So as we circle up to the knee, our knee is leading, but then our foot maybe starts to lead. Yeah. So you can see, yes, we're going towards, what's it called? Cow legs. That's the one. So we're circling this top leg. Yeah. So at this point, the knee is what's leading, but then as our knee comes on, reaches the other knee, our foot then has to start leading. Okay. We could see, yeah, what's it like this time? Can we stay in some sort of cow legs? Yeah. So you could be here. Yeah. You don't have to take your leg all the way over. If your bottom knee isn't happy, you can always lengthen out your bottom leg. Have a little bit of a wiggle, yeah? So a little bit of a wiggle so we settle down. And then we'll turn towards our top leg in cow. So let a breath come in, and as you exhale, turn towards your top leg. And as we turn towards our top leg, it's helping our top sit bone settle down a bit better, because usually it's not quite as well settled as the bottom. Good. Yes, that was a good move, Emma. It's sometimes the heel needs to slide forwards a little bit. Well done. Good. Okay. Come back to the center, see if you can settle a little bit more. If you've had enough, lean back and uncross your legs. If cow legs is reasonably easy for you, you could try folding forwards, but I don't want you to do this if it's just too much, but it's easy. That's a possibility. But if you're thinking, okay, I really want to just come out, lean back and uncross your legs and give them a little bit of a roll. Good. Okay. Let's see how cobbler pose feels. Let's maybe, good. Let's do a little bit of rocking in cobbler pose. We'll come on to side 2 of pinwheel and cow legs at the moment. A little bit of rocking here. That's nice. So it's where we're rocking, this is like we're rocking sit bone to sit bone. And then we can leave our legs and pelvis a bit quieter and make it more of a side lengthening movement. So we're reaching, leaning into one hand, reaching up and over with the other. That's nice. Good. Very nice. I always find this side to side movement rather hypnotic, and we'll just sort of carry on with it forever, but we'll stop. And we'll come on to the other side of pinwheel now. So going to the other side this time. So let the other knee come on top. Slide your top leg back. Circle a little bit. Okay, so pinwheel's so good for the hips. It's so good for those sort of tightnesses we have around the back of the pelvis and into the lower back. So it works on more than just the hip joints. Let's turn towards this knee that's going out to the side, and then let's fold down. Trying to rest the weight of our body down through our leg, down to the floor. We can have some big sighing breaths if we like. Giving the weight down. It's a very nice, restful place to be. But we've also got the joy of cow legs on this side. So walk your hands in towards you and then lean onto the leg you were just folded over to. Lean onto that hand as well, so we can free this leg. Yeah. And then we can start to draw a circle. So it could be helpful to that. And the movement's quite nice where we swing the leg back a little bit. And then just think about, so this whole part of the journey, the knee is leading, but once the knee reaches the other knee, then it's the foot that starts to lead the movement. So do that a couple more times. Yeah, that's nice. So going back, lovely, really nice. Okay, and then we can swing that leg all the way over and see how we feel in cow legs on this side. So as you know, there's lots of different ways to come into cow legs. I was just reminded of this one. And it may work for you, it may not be your favourite way into it. Have a little wiggle. Remember those options. You could have your foot here. You could lengthen out your bottom leg. Don't sit in something that is bringing pain into your knees in particular. Let's turn towards the top leg again. So let a breath come in. Exhaling, good. Turning towards that top leg. Letting your shoulders soften and drop. Very nice. And then come back to the centre. Again, if you've had enough, do lean onto your hands, uncross your legs. If you feel that you want to see what it's like to fold forwards a little bit, you could try that. But cow legs is quite intense, so it may be enough just to be in cow legs, not folding forwards at all. And of course, leaning back, uncrossing the legs, give the legs a little bit of a roll. And we're nearly ready to lie down. Do a couple of things lying down. But before we do that, I thought maybe let's just visit this one where we sit with our legs long and wide. You're not trying to go as wide as you can. It's quite useful just to sort of see actually where's a good distance apart for your legs. Where feels most comfortable. And you can lean back on your arms. If you've got a wall nearby, you could shift so you've got the wall behind your spine. Particularly if you find this one a bit challenging, of course you can keep your hands there. If some of you like to fold forwards in this one, then you could bring your hands forwards. I'm just going to swing around because I always think in this one, what we're trying to avoid is bending the upper back and nothing else. Nothing else. We're trying to feel that the whole of the pelvis is coming forwards if we're going forwards and the legs are not rolling forwards. So it might be that we have to stay here. Let's see, we'll just maybe have a couple more breaths. Wherever you want to be, whether it's leaning back on your hands, whether it's sitting upright, whether it's folding forwards a bit. can always sort of, roll my legs a bit. What else do I do? Well, we have another breath or two here. I just think it's always good to have things that help us pass the time in this one. Yeah, so rolling the legs, stretching into the heels, spreading the toes. You can also do a little bit of a turn from side to side. Yes, very nice. Okay. Good. I think now it's time for you to lie down. So you can put on socks, jumpers, have a blanket to hand. Just check how we're doing. Yes, because I want us to do a couple of things on our back. Possibly a little bit of happy baby Emma. So not just Emma, but everyone. But yeah, a couple of things on our backs. So have your blanket to hand and then lie down onto your backs with your knees bent and your feet standing on the floor. Once you arrive on your back, you could come back to letting your head roll to the right and to the left. And you could also come back to letting your knees tilt to the right and to the left. That's, yes, very nice. And then if you pause in the middle, you could take your feet a bit wider, so your feet are as wide as the narrow edge of your mat, and you can come back to tilting your knees with your feet wider. And see how that feels. And you might feel that you're happy to let your knees come all the way down on one side. If they don't quite reach and you've got a cushion to hand, you can always slide that cushion under one of your knees. But you might feel comfortable after all the things we've done to let your knees fall down on one side and let your head roll to the other side so that the shoulder stays heavy. And just have a couple of breaths there. Letting the shoulder feel heavy on one side, letting the knees drop down to the other side. And then, yes, of course, you can swap sides. Very nice. You let your knees fall down to the other side and let your head roll in the opposite direction to help your shoulders stay settled. Let a breath come in, let a breath leave you. Feel that you're giving the weight of your legs to the floor. You're giving the weight of your shoulder to the floor. And then you can come back to the center and you can fold your knees into your chest. So you can do a little bit of holding around your knees and a little bit of rocking from side to side, or a little bit of quiet breathing, just hugging your knees. And then I think we all need something to cheer us up at the moment. We have Happy Baby in, that's what I have in the plan, which is where we take our knees wider apart, but we keep the knees bent towards the chest, the soles of the feet towards the ceiling. We can hold around the back of our knees or our ankles or our big toes, and we can rock from side to side. Might rock all the way onto your side. And you can also sort of reach into one foot and then the other. If you reach up towards the center with your foot, you're less likely to roll over onto your side. But it's also quite fun to reach from side to side. So just, a little bit of rocking, all these sort of Happy Baby possibilities. And I always find Happy Baby is very nice for my lower back. That sort of rocking breathing. Very nice, good. So nothing Nothing like that for cheering us up. And then from happy baby, we will settle down onto our backs. And this is the point where you might want to put a blanket on now. Socks, if you haven't put your socks on yet. And once you've settled yourselves on your back, we're just going to have 3 big sighing breaths. So settle yourselves down. We'll have 3 big sighing breaths. And then we'll just lie quietly with our sort of quiet, natural breaths. So for your sighing breath, let your breath come in through your nostrils. And then exhale with a big sigh or a groan and just sort of just let out anything you need to let out. And then again, breathe in through your nostrils. And one last time. And then just let yourself settle with your quiet, natural breath. So you're not doing anything now to your breathing. You're just allowing your breath to move through your body exactly as it wants to. Let your breath come in, let your breath leave you. The moment I'm going to ring the singing bowl 3 times. When we get to the end of the 3rd sound, you can then start to move. Come back round. So thank you, everyone. You don't have to rush to get up.